What is up, guys? I am pumped to bring you guys a new section. As you can see, it is about hypertrophy nerd shit. So I had some hesitancies at times to start bringing in more nerd shit. Some of it is obviously, it definitely has no mass appeal. Probably for the brand new gym goer that just wants to go in and pick stuff up and put stuff down. Obviously, my site and app is not for 100% mass appeal. I want some people that want to dig in a little bit deeper, think a little bit more. Mass appeal is people that are in and out of gyms in 90 days, and that's not you guys. So I was hesitant to dig into this stuff because I was concerned if people would be into it, if they would want it. But like so much stuff that I listened to your guys' demand, and I kept getting people that said, where can I find more? Where can I read more? To learn about mechanics and understand exercises better, understand the body better, things like that. And I would always direct people, and I would direct trainers specifically, go to RTS. I credit 95% of the information in my brain, especially to applicable mechanics, to the RTS curriculum. Specifically, Tom Purvis, who I've said a billion times, a billion places, is my main mentor, the person that I've learned more about not just the nuts and bolts, but how to say things, how to articulate things, really understand, why we're doing the things that we're doing in the gym and trying to do them unemotionally, avoiding my own biases. So I've had a bunch of requests for it. So because there's requests, I think there's demands, I'm going to start digging into it. And the idea behind this is not to replace RTS, but there's some people that just train and you just work out and you just want to understand what you're doing better. And there's some trainers that maybe just this second, obviously if there's a budget's an issue, $10 a month is cheaper than a course that I don't remember how much it is. It's, over $1,000 probably per module. So again, sometimes this will be a better than nothing option. That's what I'm trying to provide. And the other reason I'm trying to do this, and my other hesitancy is I don't, as much as it is for some people, I like to nerd out with fellow nerds just for the sake of being a nerd, where it's like, let's talk about this interesting study. Let's talk about this complicated thing, which is cool to do, but at the end of the day is completely separate from how do I make decisions in the gym that actually change people's bodies for the positive, that actually produces results. And that's the thing I joke when I go to nerd courses. Lots of times it's people that just like to be nerds. And again, I'm like, get into some other form of science, maybe. Or at least tell people you're just a nerd. Tell people you don't understand how to actually train hard. You don't understand how to actually influence and affect the body positively when it's in front of you, another human when they're in front of you. And you just like to nerd out on stuff. So that's the balance too, is and kind of my filter for all of this. I want this to be applicable. I want this to be very clear as every single thing I say and do and go over, how does this tie back to hypertrophy? How does this tie back to muscle building? How does this tie back to the decisions we're making in the gym, and not just having it useless stuff where we feel like it's cool to talk. So this is what I'm teaching is mechanics and exercise selection and things like that, and the principles behind all of those things that you want to build off of those in my Dumb Joe version. And I do this for one, to be 100% honest, 100% transparent, and honestly, so it comes down to my whole filter is, what do I actually use on a daily basis? What do I actually use when I'm with clients? What do I use when I'm building exercises? And give you those tools as well to have confidence in what you're doing in the gym, have reasons behind what you're doing, have ways to sort information. Oh, this is why Joe likes this exercise as opposed to this exercise. Doesn't make one good or bad. It's not shit you should be arguing about. Just understand, okay, well, that's why I do this and that's why I do that. And when would there be a place for that inferior exercise or that other thing based on those principles? So again, hopefully give you clarity to why you're doing what you're doing in the gym. Give you the ability to build and make things on your own built off of principles. That's what people say. They confusingly say that I'm creative. I am not creative. Maybe I am, but I'm not creative with creating exercises. I have principles. I find a problem and I look for a better solution. And what you'll find is with principles, you give those principles to 1,000 different people, you present them all with the same problem, and there's a ton of different solutions that can come. And it's always not black and white or wrong. Sometimes it's just this for this application, that for that application, this based off of my own personal experience, my own clientele, etc. So that is the point of this section. I don't want this section to ever be, I'm just saying shit so I think you guys think I'm smart. There's a ton of stuff I don't know. There's a ton of stuff in the RTS manual that is complicated. There's tons of other mechanics stuff I read sometimes And ultimately, I used to think it was a bad thing, but now I think it's a good thing because it's relatable to people. I read this really cool nerd shit, but if I can't right away draw some connection to what the hell does that have to do with me getting in the gym and making decisions, then my brain just says, hey, that's not important. We're not going to waste any brain power on remembering it. And sometimes I'll go back to stuff. Sometimes I'll nerd out on stuff. But my filter, my area for what do I remember, what do I cover, is based on what do I use on a daily basis. What do I talk about on a daily basis? What do I do when I'm making exercise decisions? And so I think that filter works well for other people. I'm not just saying shit that sounds smart. Some people do that, and some people talk about this crazy shit and this crazy theoretical this and that, and stuff that literally has no evidence from human bodies. And it's like, I think people just say that for their own ego, so other people are like, well, that person's really smart. So that's the thing I want to avoid at all costs. I want to have everything stem back to making decisions in the gym. How does this actually help with exercise selection? How does this actually help with producing results? And again, too, the reality is, again, I don't want to lie. I don't want people to think I know more than I know. And I don't want to know any more than I need to know, which is obviously I constantly want to get better, so I constantly need to know more, but it's not an arbitrary amount. So again, I want that to be my filter. I want that to be the things that you guys know, this is where this is all coming from. And as far as content goes, I have a direction I think makes a lot of sense. So I have you'll see the very first video, some of the most basic stuff is understanding, our thing that we use, our tool that we use in the gym is force. Arguably every single response that we have in the body, especially as it relates to muscle, is related to or a response to force. And so what specific force do our bodies manage, our muscles manage? And that's a good place to start. That being said, within this framework and this direction and this curriculum, I'm happy to take questions. So if you guys have specifics, cover this, cover that, I don't understand that exercise mechanics or this or that or whatever it is, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. I'll be the first to say I have no idea when I have no idea. And I say keep it exercise, keep it mechanics, keep it anatomy based is fine. But I'm not the nutrition, supplementation, I'm not a chemistry major in any capacity. So if we're getting into, you're going to ask me what exactly occurs, we do a BFR training and we build up these metabolites. What's the actual pathways that occur that blah, blah, fuck, I don't know. I don't really care about chemistry. I don't really care about the chemistry of what's occurring within our body. I care about what we can control in the gym. And if I gain or lose knowledge, or gain knowledge or turn over some knowledge in my brain as far as some of the actual responses that are occurring to that force, then I can always make changes based on that as well too. But that's it. So keep it mainly mechanics-based, force-based, things that deal with anatomy and structure. Again, I'm not the chemistry guy. I'm not going to tell you about interactions of different supplements on what levels and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So if you have questions, let me know. And as always, give me feedback below. So on these videos, I always watch that kind of stuff. It's kind of weird how it lets me answer. I'm working on that so you guys know I'm answering. But again, give me feedback so you give me direction. If there's stuff that you guys are liking, great, I'll keep going. If there's stuff you want to hear more of, or there's one-offs you want me to do, I'll absolutely do that as well too. And I'm looking at least to start, depending on how much you guys like this, to have this at least a once a week, adding to, some hypertrophy nerd shit. And I'm going to say this, and I think we're all going to laugh because we know it's going to happen. I'm going to try and keep them slightly shorter. So again, I have a ton of content, and instead of having a bunch of half an hour, 40-minute videos, I'm going to try and keep a little bit more kind of bite size. So once I give you something, you kind of mull it over and you'll be able to have it and hopefully be able to actually utilize it and think about that instead of giving you a 45-minute dump of shit and not actually have any time to process it or retain it. So here we go with this, guys. Let me know what you think, and I hope you guys love it, and I hope it helps, most importantly.